Hi, my name is Felicia Allen, and I'm making this video to try and put an end to adults being bullied by other adults. I am a victim of an adult bully, and I don't really like using that word victim. I actually prefer the word target, because when an adult bully starts to attack you and go after you and systematically try and destroy your life, that individual has targeted you. And victim, as much as you do become a victim, you're certainly a victim. I like to think that we can make change so that adults who are attacked by adult bullies have some way of restoring their lives and some kind of retribution, so that they don't have to end up having to make a decision about whether to continue life or end life. Because at the end of it, any which way you look at it, that's how you're going to end up. In my situation for 2 years now, I've had someone who has influence, power, and prestige, making my life very difficult, trying to basically destroy my life. And rather than empower a bully, I'd rather talk about what bullies are and how and focus on bullying in an adult sense, not so much in the school children, because there's already a lot of information on school children and bullying, but not so much for adults. When you're bullied as an adult by another adult, it's a very different situation. One of the things that I can tell you is that it's not the first time in my life I've been bullied. When I was in school, I had somebody who, bullies can be women or men, by the way, and this happened to be a female, and she became upset because I became friends with one of her best friends, and she didn't like that. She felt threatened by that. So she decided to start going after me, and she had siblings who could join her, and then her friends started to also join her. And in no time at all, I was now in a situation where I pretty well tried to do whatever I could to avoid her and these individuals. Unfortunately, one day when I was going home from school, I had tried to take a different way so that I wouldn't run into her and the others. And on this day, I took a trail through a forest, and sure enough, there they are all sitting there. And I thought, uh-oh, now I'm in trouble, because I was alone. I was trying to get home from school. So eventually what happened was that it ended up in a fight, a physical fight between her and I. In that situation, I was declared the quote-unquote winner. And so she never bothered me again, and never did her friends. Among school children, these type of things often end up in that way. And I can absolutely assure you, I did not feel good about what happened. I just felt I had no choice. She was going to take me on if I didn't try and stand up for myself. But, you know, I'm someone who was involved in Amnesty, and I'm someone who liked Greenpeace, and I'm someone who didn't like fighting, and who had never been in this kind of a fight before. And so I felt terrible about it, and I felt terrible about the fact that she got hurt. It wasn't until years later, as a matter of fact 2 years ago, that I learned about what happens when you have an adult bully who targets you. Now, I can tell you from experience, and also from some research I've been doing, that adult bullies usually statistically start out as bullies in schools. And somewhere along the line, they find that bullying works for them. And so as the years go by and they become adult bullies, they actually become more and more practiced. So by the time you have an adult bully, you have someone who's had a lot of practice. They've had practice in targeting people. They've had practice in how to start destroying another person's life, and they become very good at it, particularly if they get into positions of power, prestige, or influence. So if you have someone who tends to be a bully, and who has been bullying all along their career, maybe, or bullying as a way of dealing with others in life, then by the time you're in an adult situation, you can be sure that that person knows what they're doing, and you are not the first. You're just one more that this person has targeted. Adult bullies look for targets that are what they perceive are weaker, targets that are not going to be able to defend themselves, certainly not easily, targets that don't have the finances or the prestige or the influence to be able to take them on. An adult bully is not going to look for somebody who can actually fight them back, who can actually say, hey, you don't walk all over me, you don't try and demean me, you don't use technology to control me or have power over me. Adult bullies take on those that are ordinary people, like you, like me, who are just, trying to make our lives work and doing our livelihoods. And adult bullies usually have a reason. It can be a situation where maybe an adult bully views you as a threat. So for example, in a work situation, maybe you've started with a company and somebody else sees you as a threat and they're in a higher position than you. They think, oh, maybe you might get my position, and so they target you. And what they're going to try and do is they're going to try and destroy you, and they're going to try and get others to join them. So they are in a position higher than you, and because of that, other people are not going to go on your side when they begin to target you. They're going to join the individual who has the prestige and the power, who goes after you. So one of the things that happens when you're an adult and you have a bully after you is that you start to feel very alone. One of the things that happens is that people that you might have known, or people, friends, or even family, the worse it gets from this bully going after you, the more difficult, because that bully has prestige, okay? People are going to look at that bully and go, oh yeah, that person is the manager of that company, or that person is, worth a lot of money, or, whatever. Remember, adult bullies are target ordinary people like you and I, because they already know their practice. They already know that we're gonna have a tough time defending ourselves, and so you're in a situation where slowly but surely this adult bully will now find ways to begin to destroy you. One of the easiest ways in our society today is through technology. And adult bullies will very quickly figure out that if they can get, control of your computer, which is not difficult these days, it's very easy to send somebody an email, and the executable file is already part of the email. So all you do is click on it. And remember, these types of bullies, they have access to, and they have the money to start to make your life difficult. So they're not just going to be like at school, calling you names or trying to demean you. They are going to look for ways, and technology is an excellent way to permeate your life and to take control of you. As time goes by and they do this and they get others to join them. Remember, what happens is that other people tend to want to join the influential one and the stronger one, and so people who might not ordinarily have, you know, wouldn't bother with you at all and wouldn't bother helping a bully, they now become part of it. The bully gets them in on it too, and so now you are in a situation where you're not only being ganged up on by one adult bully, but all the others who are helping the bully as well. So the situation that plays out in childhood also plays out in adulthood, but an adult bully is much more dangerous. An adult bully can come in different, you know, an adult bully can be somebody who definitely wants control of you, definitely wants power over you, and definitely some adult bullies, let's face it, they're psychopaths, they're sick, they have enjoyment out of seeing others panic, others get stressed, others suffer, others' lives being destroyed. And the more they can do to make your life difficult, the better. One of the things in my situation is with remote control and also being able to get into the cell phone. And believe you me, getting into your cell phone is not as difficult as you think from when somebody knows what they're doing or they have people helping them who know how to do it. So very soon you become pretty well powerless and you have no control over your own life. When, for example, when I power my computer on, there's another user on my computer, a remote user. And that user can use the keyboard, their keyboard, and see all my files, change all my files, see what I type in when I type in passwords, see all the web pages. They have all my email addresses. They can read all my messages when I check my emails every day. And they can also send emails to me. So they can begin to harass you. You're going to get harassed a lot when you have one of these adult bullies after you. We see suicides of people who are being bullied as one of the only ways out for these individuals. At some point, you're going to get to the crossroad, and I'm at that crossroad, where you have to look at, is it worth it for me to continue my life, or is it worth it for me not to? Because after a long period of time of having an adult bully who has only one thing that they're doing, and that is to try and destroy your life in this way. Technology, like I said, is one of the best tools. It's a great weapon. Then you get to a point where you don't know, first of all, you know, for me, my livelihood has been destroyed. Financially, I've been destroyed. I'm you know, unable to function financially. If you have someone who threatens you, or let's say you're someone who decides, okay, you know, I know I'm being bullied, so I'm going to go to a lawyer, okay? So let's look now at, you are the victim of an adult bully. What are you going to do? Okay, obviously this person is making life very difficult for you. So what are you going to do? If you decide to go the legal route, you can go to a lawyer, and of course we know that lawyers are very expensive, and that court processes go on for a long time, and so you're going to end up spending a lot of money, whereas an adult bully usually don't end up spending money. they will, if it's somebody who works for an organization, then they'll have the organization or the company who has insurance for any legal matters. So you're at a disadvantage. Are you going to use all of your savings or your mortgage or mortgage your house or whatever to go after, to pay, you know, a lawyer and to pay court processes, to go into court for years and years? And you may or may not be able to prove, when you have an adult bully who has others helping him or her, how are you going to prove all of this? How are you going to prove that these individuals, whom you may or may not know, were involved with the bully? So you're at a huge disadvantage as well, even in the court process, should you go that way. Some people, because they don't want to get hurt by bullies, they do what the bullies tell them to do. And bullies usually want you to do something that you may not even want to do. And it may actually implicate you negatively to do it. And you think, okay, so I did what the bully wanted me to do, but that doesn't mean they're going to leave you alone. You've already been targeted, and they know that you know, you're going to be an easy target for something else. So whether you stand up to the bully or whether you try to work with the bully, or whether you accede to the bully, or whether you try to avoid the bully, an adult bully has chosen you for a reason. It's because they can. They know they've got more power, more prestige, and more influence than yourself. You don't have to do anything wrong to be targeted by an adult bully. An adult bully can target you because they don't like the clothes you wear, or they don't like the way you look, or they don't like your religion, or they don't like your culture, or they don't like the fact that you are getting ahead in your life, or they as a threat. Or you get, of course, the ones who simply like to look for somebody to target and get enjoyment and get a fix even out of seeing you scramble, frightened, stressed, and unable to cope any longer. One of the individuals who I have thought about a lot in the recent past was the young woman, and she's from Canada as well, British Columbia, who went on the internet and with placards tried to describe what it's like when you have a remote user destroying your life with technology. I'm sure we all remember who this is and how brave and courageous she was. When you are attacked or targeted by an adult bully, the first thing you're going to end up doing after this continues on and on, an adult bully is not going to go after you one time or two times. It's going to be until they destroy you. They're out to get you. Okay, make no mistake about that. And so what victims of adult bullies do is they go to the police. You have no choice. I mean, you've got to get help from somewhere. And unfortunately, when you go to the police tell you, well, you know, there's nothing we can do, and there's nothing we're going to do. You know, you have to deal with it. And how are you going to deal with it? So even though the police, for example, with the little girl in the placards, or the young woman in the placards, and she had her whole life ahead of us, let's not forget that. Her parents had been to the police, and the police had the technology that they could use to examine the computer card and the hi-fi card, hard drive it's called, and the hi-fi card, Wi-Fi card, and thereby they can actually trace where is the location and who's the individual who is the remote user on the computer. But the police won't help you. The police won't help me either. It's up to you. What they will tell you is, well, we don't want to use our resources on one person because we can use them on corporations and help a lot of people. Of course, the RCMP know that corporations have huge departments that do nothing but deal with technology, and they're very well prepared for hacking and all kinds of intrusions. So the reason that the police basically turn away victims of adult bullies is because bullying is not something that happens once or twice and then they can close the file. An adult bully doesn't stop. It's every day. It's ongoing. It'll go on for weeks. It'll go on for years. It'll go on as long as the bully can continue to do it. And that's a long time, particularly with the use of technology, and particularly because the victim or the person who's being targeted is becoming more and more, more and more distraught, more and more in a crisis situation, more and more alone, more and more frightened and stressed, and starting to break. You try and live with that kind of harassment every day that you're going to get from somebody who's targeted you and who has the power and the prestige and the influence or the technology to make your life difficult, and you start to break down. You want to get away from it. You don't want to live like this, but you can't. The police have a tactic which unfortunately is absolutely horrific in my opinion, and that is the police wait it out. So they might tell you, well, go and get help from a therapist or therapy help to deal with the effects of the bully every single day and the way that they try and destroy your life and harass you and keep you focused on them and what they're doing to you. And so the police might use that. Well, going and see your doctor or go and get some therapy help or whatever. Oh yes, you do need that, for sure. Nobody can cope with this on their own or take on an adult bully on their own, for sure. We know that because we look at the suicide statistics here in Canada from people who have been bullied, and they're alarming, and they're at a crisis point because people can't cope anymore. Not only are we seeing children who take their lives and teenagers who take their lives, but so do adults for the very same reasons. So the police do what I call the waiting. Just wait it out. Eventually, the individual will get to a point where they're at a crossroads and they'll have to make a decision. Can they continue to live like this? No. I mean, of course not. Or are they going to take their life? When victims or targets of adult bullies end up taking their lives, then it's easy for the police. They can just close the file. A suicide is not like a criminal who points a gun at you or a knife at you or takes your life, where they actually have to then investigate it and try and figure out what happened. A suicide, you took your life. And so your file gets closed and you become another statistic. And the bully who caused you to get to this point has no repercussion at all. And this is why adult bullies get better at what they do, continue to do what they do, and are very good at destroying people's lives, is because there are no repercussions at all. we have to look at statistics here for a minute. Here's a statistic. 75% of people in Canada say they have been affected by bullying. And this is from prevnet.ca, which is a website that does research and provides information on bullying in Canada. That's a lot of people. In terms of the actual suicides that result from bullies, unfortunately, when you get powerful bullies who are what I believe are predators, these are not people that are, in my opinion, well adjusted in society. These are people who often got to the place they are in society by harming others and by destroying others along the way. I think you have to be very careful when you watch this video with saying, oh well, you know, that's what happened to her, but that's not going to happen to me. Nobody's bullying me. My life is good. Well, let me assure you of something. That's how I was too. I was happy with my life in general. I certainly enjoyed everything I was doing. I work with horses, and I work with autistic children and horses, and I work with speaking for those who cannot speak for themselves. You know, I try to save animals like horses from horse slaughter and so on and so forth. So I thought, oh, bullies, that happens to others, and it happened to me when I was a kid, but it doesn't happen, you know, now I'm an adult and I can take care of myself and so on and so forth. Let me assure you that adult bullies are in every field out there. And adult bullies can be anybody. And they don't wear a sign that says, I'm an adult bully. As a matter of fact, adult bullies are very good at luring in their victims. And once they've targeted you, very good at finding ways with the help of others, because, you know, they have some influence, okay? These are not ordinary people like you and I. They have some influence. And so they're going to get you, and in the end, they're going to find ways to destroy your life. It can be in, I think there's so many videos on YouTube of how victims have been destroyed by adult bullies. And how difficult their lives have been. For me, I'm at a point where I, you know, financially, I'm completely destroyed now, and where my livelihood and my reputation is now, you know, non-existent. Where people who were in my life have left my life. Because when you are constantly stressed and constantly trying to cope and constantly trying to rebuild your life, and then you have someone who's doing whatever they can to make the opposite happen, you know, it's difficult for other people to be around you. You know, everybody can tell you're kind of going on your way down. So this video is difficult as well, because I'm coming out and I'm saying, yeah, everything you're seeing, you're right. I am a person who believes that anyone can sit and point out a bad situation or a bad, you know, what's happening in society. But let's look at solutions. Okay, because I really believe that when we have these kind of problems, there must also be solutions. And the one thing I can tell you, as someone who's been targeted for an adult bully and who has, for 2 years now, tried to find resources and try to find help and try to find support, there is nothing out there for you. There are no peer groups for adult bullies. There are no resources for you. If you go to a therapist, then the therapist can't stop the bully. The therapist can help you cope. The therapist may be able to help you with resources that really don't pertain to adult bullying. Adult bullying doesn't fall under any other victim services. I've tried. I've been to community centers. I've been to programs. I've been to even women's centers. There's nothing for adult bullies. The police, like I said, you get absolutely no help from the RCMP. You know, if something happens, they might write it down, but they're not going to use their resources on victims of adult bullies. And so my solution is that don't wait until this happens to you. Join me and join others, hopefully like me, who come forward, and let's put some constructive solutions for our government representatives and politicians and even the police that can be evoked, that can help bullies, those who are being, those who are being targeted by bullies. One of the things that I believe we should have is in every city and in outlying areas, centers where victims can go and receive at least 3 types of help. Number 1, peer support. You can go and you can meet others who are also being victimized by an adult bully, and you can support each other in trying to restore your lives and in trying to cope. Number 2, these centers have to have RCMP involved as well. And the RCMP or law enforcement or police, whatever you want to call it, have to begin to help that victim with all of the resources available to the RCMP. The RCMP have the technology to look at a computer hard drive, look at a computer Wi-Fi card, and be able to trace who the remote user is that's using the technology and the location. So they can, in fact, help to apprehend that individual and to bring that individual to justice. Another thing I can tell you that I believe is that if a bully, an adult bully, thinks that the police are helping you, then the likelihood that an adult bully might back off might be quite good. But right now, adult bullies know that they're exempt from the law. You can't get any help. And so the adult bullies now are further empowered because the police won't help you. So let's have resource centers with police there to begin to investigate and to begin to actively get involved in helping the victims of adult bullies. Number 3, we need to have at these centers therapists and counselors who know how to help individuals and doctors with how to restore their lives, how to restore their self-esteem, restore their livelihood, how to get their friends or make new friends, and how to pick up the pieces of their life to be able to try and have quote-unquote normal lives again. Because your life is not normal when you've been stalked by a predator like an adult bully. There's nothing normal about it anymore. If we have these kinds of resource centers that have at the minimum those 3 types of services available to victims of adult bullies, I believe we have already won at least half of that battle against an adult bully. Okay? And what I have done as a last resort in my own situation is I have started a petition that you who watch this video can go to and sign. It's called ipetitions.com/petition/stop adult bullies. I don't know if you can read this, probably not. ipetitions.com/petition/stop adult bullies. I've also today, while I'm making this video, I decided to put up a Facebook page too. My Facebook page is facebook.com/stop adult bullies. facebook.com/stop adult bullies. All one word. Please join the Facebook and let's start to put some pressure and make some change. In my own situation, what I do is I've rescued horses from the racetrack, and these horses, some of them have been with me for over 10 years, and I don't know what's going to happen to me next. I'm being honest with you. I'm now at getting very close to where I don't know what I call the crossroads for victims of adult bullies. The crossroads is where you make a decision. Is it worth continuing with your life, or can you even pick up the pieces to continue? Or are you going to do what is the other option, because it now seems to be a viable option, and that is to take your life? I hope I don't end up doing the latter, but I also know how much longer can I continue the former. To help my animals, should something happen to me, I've also started a fundraiser for them, and that is at youcaring.com/haydrive, HAYDRIVE. And this is a fundraising page where people can make donations. And the donations, I'm hoping, if something happens to me, will continue to take care of the animals. Now, please don't misunderstand. I want more than anything to get back to the life I had before an adult bully came into my life and started to destroy it. The little girl, or the young woman with the placards, who then ended up having to make the decision to end her life. I want to tell you, as someone who's in that position, that this young woman did not want to end her life. She did not want to leave the family she loved. But when you are harassed and destroyed by somebody who is a predator, who is, in my opinion, a criminal. Adult bullies are criminals. Anyone who brings someone to a situation where they have to, or they feel they have to, make a decision about whether to live or whether to not live is a criminal. And we have to stop calling adult bullies just bullies.